You're watching All To Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Welcome to All To Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral. As always, I'm joined by the very laid-back and chilled Joe Cole. What happened? What's that?
More tech problems, big man. Like you just exposing me like that.
Listen, I love you to death. I tell you what, mate.
Painful, it is painful.
You would be known, if this was a football team, mate, you'd be cleaning the dressing rooms. Some of these performances, JC. Mate. When you get on here, you're liquid gold. You're amazing.
I just don't do technology, and I'm just sticking with it. Like, so this is a tough time for me. Lockdown.
I tell you what, it's a tough time for Joe Cole. It's a tough time for me every week waiting for 2 hours, trying to have to explain to these amazing guests we are why Joe.
I know. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
Look, it shows. If nothing else, it shows how much people love you within the game. Because I can tell you, I don't think if you weren't.
I thought Coley was just going to abuse me last week.
Well, look,
that was a longer time than that. Gareth, how long was we? We was half an hour waiting here. We was a good hour.
I've heard you've made people wait an hour, so I was quite happy about that.
I know, mate. Listen, it's not diva-ish. Trust me. It's not diva-ish. I just can't get onto these fucking computers.
Joe Cole's the only person who does a podcast with a rider list. He thinks he's Rihanna. He turns up like he's at a party an hour late. Yeah.
Don't be the first at a party, mate. Don't be the first at a party.
Listen, we've half introduced him. Let me give this guy a big welcome. He's a legend of the game. He's a legend of football. I love this man.
Yeah.
He is a title winner, 2011. The man with the most Premier League appearances ever, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever you're doing, I want you to put your hands together for the man, Gareth Barry. Yes, boss.
Yes.
Hi, boys. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome, mate. Welcome.
Let me again say,
I don't think you've done enough there, Tom. That was.
Do you know what the trouble is,
more
Joe?
Premier League games than anyone else.
You've taken the fizz out of the lemonade on the basis me and Gareth have been talking about gardening for the last hour.
Tom, you've done plenty there, mate. I don't need no more introduction than that. It's all good.
How do you feel about that, though? All joking aside, that is an amazing thing. The most Premier League appearances. That's incredible. Like, how many was it in the end?
6-5-3. So yeah, I'm proud of that. I can't play that one down. I'm very proud that I got to that number of games in the Premier League, which is the league across all the world, and the main game in the world, and to have them appearances, I can't play that down. I'm proud.
What's James Milner on, Matt? Because I think the way football's heading at the moment, and unless James Milner beats it, I can't see anyone having that kind of longevity, because the Premier League's, it's always been the toughest league, but now it's unforgiving. To play that many games is just. I think Gareth might have that record for a long time, because when Giggsy got it, I did not think anyone would beat him, and it would take someone like Gareth who play like 20 plus years in the Premier League.
I think
doesn't get injured.
Milner's on, James is on 549, so it's over 100 behind Gareth. So I think he's got to go some. Maybe he was. I mean, he's evergreen, but it's a hell of it, like you say, a hell of a thing. I mean,
I remember when I passed it, they asked me if anyone could possibly do it, and James was one I mentioned, really, knowing what he's like, how professional he is, and the position he's playing. So if, he don't even let me beat him at golf, so he'll probably beat that record. Yeah.
You say that there, Joe. You were saying about people not reaching that those amount of games now. Do you think, like when you both started, and Gareth, when you were starting there at Villa, do you think the game's harder now or harder then? It feels like the players are almost more protected now.
It's a completely different game, isn't it? I think there's more players around now. There's more competition in terms of breaking through. I definitely felt when I was coming through, it was easier for a young player to get games. Now they're coming from all over the world to want to play in the Premier League. So it's just the way the game's gone a completely different road.
I think Gareth's in the best place to answer that. From my perspective, I have arguments with my colleagues on when we punditing on games, and because I feel the game now has improved. I think everything improves over time. It's why world records constantly get beaten. I think tactically now, you watch even like Scotty's Fulham team, the way they pass the ball, the level of the way that the movements in the team, the technical ability, the speed of some of them, and they're a team bottom two. bottom three in the Premier League. So I think tactically we've come on bundles. I think the players are better athletically because of not only lifestyle, but techniques in training. And Gareth's right in saying it is such a different style of football, but I do think it's better. And I'm controversial when I talk to my colleagues and players. I think the players now are more well-rounded. There's some things they're not as good at, the mentality thing, because I think when you get into the first team early, but you're sort of forged in the fire, there's a lot more, the managers get on you and there's a lot more nastiness, and I think nowadays there's a lot more support for the younger players, but I think they're certainly better tactically and technically and I'd argue physically, because there was no Adama Traore's 20 years ago, was there, Gaz, when we was coming through?
Yeah, it's like you're saying, everything gets quicker, doesn't it? Everything gets stronger. You can tell that, the pace of the game. And yeah, I think that's why my yellow cards just topped up as I got to the end of my career. I went from having hardly any in the first 10 years, and then all of a sudden it was a different game.
I mean, talking about that, I mean, that must have been, I don't know how big a change that was when you went to Man City and you were like that incredible, that amazing end to the season. But was that a massive moment when you went there and a different sort of, I guess, I mean, the amount of characters you were talking at Aguero there, you had Balotelli, Tevez, Toure. But what was that like? Was that like a real sort of like culture shock for you at all? Or were you like, was the way that, Mancini was playing or whatever, how was that? How did you find that?
Yeah, it was another great experience, but I'd already played for England by the time I'd gone there, so sort of playing with big names. Nobody in the dressing room we all like looking up to and fearful of being in the dressing room with. And my thing there was, I went to Man City to win trophies. I had a great time at Aston Villa, played loads of games, but unfortunately we couldn't get over the line and win a trophy. So yeah, in my mind there was just, I was thankful for the players they signed that were able to finally get me a trophy in a career that was, you're thinking at that time in your late 20s, it's running out of time. Little did I know I was going to play another 8 or 9 years after.
Was there, sorry, big man, Gareth, was there any opportunities when you were at Villa over the years? Because I remember you being linked with Liverpool. Was there other times when, being a quality young English player, there must have been the big four or the big two or wherever it was, must have been stiffing around at times. Was it ever close going anywhere else?
No, up until that Liverpool move, probably the year before I went to Man City, there was no sort of interest from where I was thinking I'm making a big upward step here. You know what I mean? Right. To try and entice me. So the big four, it probably was at the time, weren't it? There was no interest from them. There was little bits from other teams that I saw as maybe a sideways step or a little upward step, but because I was so happy with my time at Villa and enjoying my football, I just thought, just hang around and wait for that right one. And it didn't happen till, in the late 20s. So,
when Mancini stepped in there and you first met him because you were part, I suppose, of that sort of, the rebirth of sort of Man City and Man City becoming the team we know now, the sort of noisy neighbours. So what was the dream that Mancini sold you? What was the vision?
Yeah, the words they were that listen, I was so close to signing for Liverpool. And, people were so surprised I chose Man City over Liverpool, that they were in the Champions League at the time. But they put it simple. They said, this is a fast-moving train. You either get on it or you don't. They had so much belief they were going to go and do what they have done, really, apart from in the Champions League. We're talking 2009, this is 12 years ago. They had so much belief that that they could take Man City to levels that they have gone and done. And I knew I was going to get a bit of stick for choosing Manchester City over a team in the Champions League, but I honestly believed it was the right one, the right move to make.
Who signed when you signed at that point? Who else did they bring in that season?
So that summer, Adebayor came from Arsenal, Carlos Tevez come from Man United, Julian Lescott from Everton, Rocky Santa Cruz. So they were big names that were trying to get to the next level, and probably wasn't till the year after they really made the big signings in Aguero, Silva, and that was when the trophies started to come.
What Man City have done remarkably well is they've come in and effectively they've bought their way, like Chelsea did. They spent the money, above and beyond what's usual, but they've kept their image. I think everyone seems to love Man City still, whereas I think at Chelsea straight away, I felt I'm coming into a team where there's a lot of dislike and distaste for us because of the money. Everywhere we was going that year, you could sense from the crowd. But I think Man City and sort of, I think people sort of, I don't know if people are used to it by then, but big owners coming in and spending money, but they sort of, they kept the image right. And I think that's credit to the type, you know, I would say there wasn't a particularly nice team. There's some nastiness in them, you know, people put their foot in, and that was a great side, physical. I played that Man City side, handed me probably my most horrible day on a football pitch. When I don't know if Gareth was still there at the time. Remember when they beat West Ham in the semi-final, mate, 6-0? Up at I've been marked by Zabaleta, and I've never seen a player look at me with pity. Like, he looked at me like after 70 minutes, I'm chasing him back, and he just said, "Why?" He said, "Why do you play like this?" And I couldn't even breathe. I said, "I don't know, Geese. I don't know." He said, "I was horrible." So I know how good that team was. I think credit to the owners. They just brought all the right players in at the right time. Gareth was the right player at that time to really just put into that spine of the team that went on to win nearly everything. And I'm the only surprising thing is they've not won the Champions League yet with the quality that they've had in there. I mean, I can't fathom that. I don't know how they've not won it so far.
I mean, that to go into that first league title for Man City, which was, you know, I think anyone who loves football, it was an incredible thing to watch unfold. What was that like from your perspective, that final day? Like, could you remember it like sort of in great detail?
Yeah, I do, because I generally hardly ever watch games back, but that's shown on the TV quite often, and I sit there still nervous as anything watching it. So yeah, it's I just remember on the day, I was just thinking that first goal was going to be so important. Our home record was unbelievable. We hadn't lost for a long time. Zabaleta scored, and I'm thinking in my head, you know, it's his job done. It's his job done.
Yeah.
We're playing QPR at home. We're 1-0 up. We can keep the ball. And then all of a sudden, the second half, from nowhere, two sort of strange goals. You find yourself 2-1 down, and it's, you know, you're running around on that pitch thinking, this is the end of the world here. And yeah, luck. But I remember sitting on the bench with James Milner, and just we're talking like, what's going on? How have we thrown this away? The title's gone. All that hard work, the position we were in, all we needed to do was beat QPR, and, you know, you're 2-1 down with 89 minutes gone. There's a helicopter flying around above us, and we're going, that's the Premier League trophy going up to Sunderland. That all of a sudden, Dzeko pops up, and, you know, the Aguero moment's just, you know, one in a lifetime moment, isn't it? That, you know, I was lucky enough to be involved in.
I mean, what was the party like after that? That must have been incredible, right?
Yeah, you're getting that drunk, aren't you, that you don't remember it. But Joe will tell you, when you win trophies, and for me, the first league title, so much relief. Joe, did you feel relief? Yeah. Like the body just drops to the floor, like you're knackered, aren't you? You're absolutely knackered. And relief is the word I'd use. When I won the FA Cup, when I won the league, relief's like, oh, thank God I've achieved that. And it's almost so hard to find another gear to party.
I don't know, I found a couple of gears after that.
You got more gears than me, Coley.
Do you? I mean, is that like having that moment, right, where you win those things, like you say, okay, and it's weird, I've never really thought about that. Did that in a way, like, did that take pressure off in a sense of like for the rest of your career, you sort of go, well, you know, for the percentage of kids who have a dream of becoming a footballer, to the people who sort of like try and make it, to the people that you've played with, to all of a sudden you're a Premier League winner, right? And you're an FA Cup winner. Is in a way there the pressure of you the next season, the season after that, do you think, well, I've done that now? Or how did that work?
If I'd have left my career without winning a trophy, I would have felt unfulfilled. So yeah, I agree with Gareth in that sense. It's like a relief. You know, it's like you feel like, wow, I've done it, and this. But we're greedy by nature, and as soon as the next season starts, you want to do it again, and you want to do it again, and you want to do it again. And one thing you don't do is you don't enjoy it as much at the time. You don't appreciate it. Your football career goes by in a blink of an eye. And I say it to all young players. I say, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. It's the best bit of advice I got, was because it does go by so fast. I still can't believe I'm retired. I still wake up every morning and think to myself, when's training start? And then I realise I'm just, you know what I mean, podcaster now.
Yeah, Joe won trophies a lot earlier in his career than me, but as a footballer, you're getting judged. I played for England. I'd been to a European Championship, been to a World Cup, played loads of games. But if you finish a career without winning a trophy, it's just the nature of the world. That'll get thrown at you. So for me, to win the FA Cup and the league was something I needed and wanted in my career so much. So it was nice to sign off then.
How was that season as well? Where you look at that. Like, I'm always interested of how, like, someone like Mancini, and I love Mancini as a player. I thought he was a great. But and there was a lot of pressure on him, I'm imagining at that time. But how did he deal with the different characters? Because Balotelli that year, Aguero, Tevez. What were they like in the dressing room? What was the sort of and to you, Joe, as well, when that sort of Chelsea team started changing a bit and you start getting bigger personalities? But Gareth, how did you find that?
Well, Mancini, he come in for Mark Hughes, and he was a winner. Now, winners aren't always liked, as Joe will say. They're not, if you ask a lot of players about Mancini that played under him at City, they'll say, well, I didn't like him. But he was a winner, and that's what that dressing room needed. He needed to bring discipline. The team needed a different style. He formed a very strong defensive team, and if you sign in top players that can attack, if you get the defensive side right, the others can be left to do what they do. And yeah, he was definitely what the club needed at the time, and it was a very good move on behalf of the club to bring him in. And as you say, there was a lot of egos in it, and that Tevez story where we're playing Bayern Munich and he doesn't bring him on, and all of a sudden he's flying home to Argentina for 3 months. We're carrying on the season without him. It was an argument that's happened in the dressing room. And then all of a sudden you've lost a player for 3 months. The managers, it's one of their strengths of a good manager. They distract from the scoreline. We've been beaten by, I think it was Bayern Munich or somebody in the Champions League. He's distracted and made the whole story about Carlos Tevez. Little did he know that it was going to blow up that much. Carlos Tevez got the ump and flew home. That sort of helped. Carlos had a nice rest, come back for the last 6-8 games, and he was the final bit of the jigsaw puzzle there. He come home and really helped us galvanise the end of the season.
How did that, like, when he came back though? How did he? I mean, that for me, I don't know if I'd have the front to walk back into a dressing room. You walked away for 3 months, but I'm not Carlos Tevez, and I love Carlos as you can imagine. But how did he handle himself when he came back?
Well, it was. We needed him. When you need somebody, you open them up with, if we'd won the league already, Carlos Tevez would have been shown, the door wouldn't have been open. But we'd seen United go back above us, and we're missing Carlos now. We could do with him. Not a word was said to him from the lads. I don't think he was going to get judged on what he'd done on the pitch. And I think one of the first games it was Norwich away. He scored a couple of goals and celebrated doing the golf swing because he'd been playing golf for 3 months. And we were like, that's fine. If you keep scoring goals, you keep celebrating like that. And, he come back and played a massive part. And, that season we won the league. It's crazy that actually happened in that season. People forget about it.
Did you have anything like that in your career, Joe?
What? Get fucking off for 3 months? No. I got fucked off a few times for 3 months. No. I'm trying to think.
Were you there with Paolo Futre? Were you there when he just walked out?
No, it's before my time. I mean, I was there when Hartson kicked Berkovic as a young lad. Who else?
How does that play out, though, with the rest of the players? Because I remember that, obviously, really well.
Mate, I remember, I must have been 16, and I was on the pitch next to him, and I just remember, it sounds bad now, but I just remember Wrighty laughing. And I didn't know what happened. And then when someone said, Hartson and Berkovic had a fight, and I remember thinking, well, that not going to end well for Isle. And anyway, so training got called off, and I've gone into the medical room, and I just see Isle holding his face, shouting, and Harry trying to calm him down, the physio there. And I think Big John was just getting on with life. You know what I mean? There was a bit of tension between them, but do you know what people don't realise is how good they were together.
That's what I was going to say. They were amazing together.
It was just, they were I think there might have been a friction. Isle's a good guy, but he's spiky. I actually spoke to him last week aisle. He's the Michael Parkinson of Israel. He's got a chat show, not for football. No, serious. He gets politicians on, and a friend of mine was saying, "Is he good at it?" He went, "He's amazing because he just don't give a fuck. Like he'll just if he got Boris on now, he'd be like, Boris, what's the plan with the pandemic, fella? Come on, what are you doing?
Keep it light, Joe. Keep it light.
Sorry, but
So what happened, Joe? Was it as he wound him up, or was it just football? There was a bit scrap?
Like he was. I think Isle could rub you up the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then John's kicked him, and then Isle slapped John on his thigh, and then John's just volleyed him.
In the head.
And while he was on his knees, and then Righty's laugh was like or scream, and then it just all sort of. But these things, the problem that day was at West Ham. Harry would just let the cameras in, like back in the day, like it was carnage at West Ham because it just fans would come in, but then the media would come in any day you want, come in, roll in, watch training, and the amount of times it used to go off at training, just because it was the night, like late 90s, and it was West Ham, it was just carnage, and the fans would be there, and Harry would be scrambling, trying to, make sure that there was no cameras and no pictures taken. Just on that particular day, there was someone who took a camera of it. Otherwise, no one would have ever known it. It would just been a normal day. These things happen. But
do they happen a lot in football? Like to you both? I mean, and how does it pan out? I mean, in your everyday life, you sort of, people down a boozer or whatever, a couple of your mates might have an argument and you might take a side, or you might just think, oh, shut up, you'll be all right in the morning. How does that work out when you're playing with people? Is there side taking, or do you just sort of think like someone else? Yeah.
Same. Just, it's not regular. We're not like animals, but you have like your football's obviously a physical game, and there's egos and there's testosterone. It does happen. I've swerved I'm not a fighter at all, so I managed to just bob and weave a few times out of a few. Done the old hold me back one.
Who did you do that with?
Mate,
Paulo Ferreira.
Ian Pearce.
Ian Pearce.
Big Piercing. Exactly.
Big Pierce. Jesus.
Big Ian Pearce, mate. And I was like, trust me, there was the moonwalking going on from me, but I was giving it loads.
Have everyone a pick on Big Ian Pearce?
I know. But I had a little. I've only had the handbags in training. Yeah. I had a thing with Bernard Mendy, the Bolton player. We had a little thing. I got banned for 2 games. I got 17 grand for that. That was after a game. A little melee, and he's tried to headbutt me, and I just threw a punch at him, and then it got broken up. But then I got the most expensive punch I've ever thrown. Probably one of the only punches I've ever thrown. It was shocking. I don't know but so I won that fight 1-0, 1-0 Cole.
Did you ever have anything like that, Gareth? Like any little?
He's too smooth, GB.
No, I'd say it's going to happen. It happens all the time. I was thinking, did it happen back in the day more than it does now? But probably don't. You're training every day. It's competitive. You're playing against people for the same position. When things aren't going well at a club, they generally happen a bit more. Lads are fired up. They're thinking, I need to get in the team. It happens. And I remember 2 or 3 over the years. Colo Turi, me and him at Man City, but I don't think there was ever punches thrown. You're squaring each other up, waiting to someone break you up, aren't you?
Yeah.
come on, break us up.
I'll tell you are if you've picked a fight of Ian Pearce.
I know, yeah.
I know, how stupid is that?
From him.
I was far away when I was giving it, though. I was far away enough to get away from the big man.
With the Tevez thing, like Gareth, going back to that, did you realise what was happening at the time when how long did after he'd flown off? Did you sort of go, oh, he's not coming back?
Well, it must have been before Christmas. And, you think he'd probably go home for a week and then calm down and then come back. And the story just blew up, got bigger and bigger. And he didn't seem bothered. He was photographed in Argentina doing all sorts, playing golf on the beach. Do you know what I mean? He's just like, and then all of a sudden we think, oh, he mustn't be coming back. So it must have been a case towards the end of the season where Man United had turned it round and gone back above us. And the sweet phone call must have gone into Carlos to come back. I thought it was the last 6 games he come back for, and we won all 6.
One of my other players, and I think he'd have been a really great signing for West Ham, was Balotelli. As a player, I loved when he was at City. I think he was really probably in his pomp there, and I thought he was.
Do you reckon, big man? I mean,
oh man, he had moments
yeah,
when he was at City. I love watching. I think as a fan, right? As a fan, and when you're sitting in the stadium and you have someone who can do something, every now and again, but also feels that there's just. I suppose that. I mean, Gareth, you played with him, you know him a bit more. There's an aura around him, and there was a sort of like almost.
I know what Joe's saying. I can tell from it, but he's just he's unfulfilled a bit the ability he's got. He's probably at that spell. He was probably looked over as maybe being overrated. Do you know what I mean? There was 4 strikers there at the time: Aguero, Tevez, Dzeko, and Balotelli, and he was 4th choice. He did come on and score some big goals, but he was it was more. People were more intrigued with his character off the pitch, weren't they? And he had that cheeky, sort of immature, like nature about him. And he was great to have around the dressing room. He used to wind Mancini up. Mancini had him round the neck regularly in training because he just didn't do as he was told. And Mancini was probably the only one who did get anything out of him in his career, which is so sad, really. I think he had one good spell with Italy at a championship. Yeah. But look at him now. I don't know how old he is. He must be 30. And
he had a little hit at Lille.
Sad to see, it's quite sad.
I remember seeing him at Lille and thinking he looked like he. I suppose he's one of those people you're always just hoping he's just going to come good. He's just got a little. I mean, Joe, for you, because that's the most animated I've seen you. Like when I.
He didn't agree with you there.
No. But then why? What's your thought of Balotelli? Is it the fact that
Balotelli? I just forget all like the character and all that. I'm not interested in all of that. I just think like Gareth. I just think he didn't have enough moments in his career to warrant the sort of the way he played. Like I'm just thinking from my manager's head on. I'm thinking, right, you can't trust him to do a job in the sense that he's not gonna. You can't say to him, right, I want you to get hold of the ball for me today, run the channels, and you can work on something else within your system because that's going to happen. He just might turn up and not fancy it. So he's not unreliable. So when I think, right, okay, he's got an unreliable player, he's going to win me enough points. Like someone like Carlos Tevez, right? I'd swallow him going to play golf for 3 months in Argentina. When he comes back, I know that if a chance falls to me in a crucial game, Tevez is going to put it away. And he's going to run his socks off. And he's going to fight. And he's going to be part of the team. I just think Balotelli didn't tick enough boxes in his career.
He's not been out there on show enough for people to even see what his strengths are for me. Like if somebody's saying some Balotelli strengths up, what's he good at? People probably don't know that. He's not been out there enough to see. But his finishing was as good as anyone. Both feet, left and right. He could, no back lift. He'll find bottom corners, left foot, right foot. His movement was very good when he was on ball. He's just. It was there, but he was unable to put it together for a long enough period for a career where he should have done so much more.
Right. Who's winning the league this season? Maybe the Toffees can continue their great form. Will the Blues benefit from German firepower? Will it be about a Belgian who can put a ball on a sixpence? How are the champions going to cope without him? Whatever happens, it's going to be exciting.
No one knows football better than a Coral Football Better.
I suppose getting onto the title race, how much has that got to do with character? When you're looking at now, let's just pick out, say, Leicester, Man City obviously now coming up behind, Liverpool, United, let's just use those as a 4. How much does character and the people that you've got around you, is that everything for the title race, do you think? The
last 2 months of the season, you've got to get the job done no matter where you are. I said it last week, didn't I? I said this title's going to be like pass a parcel. It's whoever's got the parcel when the music stops at the end of this is going to be the champion, and it's going to end up being one of 4 or 5 teams. I think Man City are going to do it. I watched them play the last 3 games. They're back to their best. I think Foden's gone on to levels. I just think if he keeps Sterling looked sharp the other night, scored a great goal. I love Man City. I love the way they play. I think they'll get the job done.
I'm still thinking the same two before. Yeah, Liverpool, Man City. I just think Liverpool they've probably had their bad spell now. I just don't think them forward players with Jota coming back, I don't think they're going to go through another spell like that. So Liverpool, Man City, challenging it out when it comes to it at the end of the season. But yeah, I'm with Joe as well. Man City have hit the levels now that Guardiola expects them to. The way they pass the ball, the tempo. They're obviously been pretty solid all season defensively, and it's amazing they're doing this with no striker.
That's the thing that I think as well. Coming into next year, like if they keep the team together, like this is, I'd say, arguably one of the most solid sides that Pep's had. Like it's actually, like you say, defensively and the way that they're playing the game. If you add in dream world for City fans, but if you add like a Haaland or someone to that team who's going to come in as an out and out goal scorer, that's a terror. All of a sudden, everyone's saying, City are on the ropes, and at the beginning of the season saying that Pep had a lot of work to do. You look at it now and you think, well, actually, he's sort of. I think Diaz has been a great signing. Yeah. Stones is. I was talking to people who his interview after the game at the weekend, I thought was just, after the 2 goals, you watch him and see that's what it takes to be for both of him and Maddison, who've probably both come into a bit of some unfair criticism, to then sort of up their game.
No, big man. It wasn't so. It's John Stones, right? That's a good point. I love John Stones, but he's tested my patience. I've loved him from when he was a kid. Like my first job at BT, I had to break down John Stones and what he does well and what he needs to improve on. And I forgot, I remember looking at all of his clips, and he was so impressive. But there was that last little bit he needed to put together, and then he was sort of drifted out the team for 18 months, and people sort of writ him off. But then you look at his age, and he's 25. Centre halves mature at a later age, so I still held out hope, But all of a sudden he's in the wilderness from England, and he's come back into this Man City team. It's like something clicked with him, where he's concentrating throughout the 90 minutes. Like there'll still be mistakes because of the nature of how he plays and the nature of the centre half is now. You're not going to get John Terry's and Rio Ferdinand's who just make maybe one mistake a year, because they're asked to do so much more now. And John Stones is such a talented boy, but something's clicked with him, and I'm so pleased because I've been a big fan of his. But even I was losing faith with it a little bit. Because do you know what I mean? And I've been saying for years.
You hit the nail on the head there, Joe. I was at Everton with Stonesy when no one heard of him. Roberto Martinez says, we've got this boy. He must have been 18 at the time. He said, John Stones. He's incredible, centre-half. When I signed that pre-season, his confidence was unbelievable. And, that was his sort of a downfall, wasn't it, for the bit? He was probably edging too confident, continuously wanted to play. But what you said there is, he's so young, and centre halves will mature, and it's the penny's dropped, isn't it? He says, let's find that right balance between defending, concentration, doing my job first. And for me, he's defending first, and that brings confidence and enables him to use his real strengths, and that's the confidence to play out from the back. And he's scoring goals now as well, isn't he? So the penny does drop, and it just shows sometimes. I honestly thought he was going to have to leave Man City. But he stuck around, and what a bad decision that would have been if he'd have left and joined someone else.
With James Maddison and John Stones, and we'll get on to talking about England in a minute, but you look at them both and you think, probably Maddison maybe unfairly judged a bit more. I mean, you'd be able to sort of say more there, Joe, and playing that attacking thing, but do you think that is something you've just literally got to go, all I can do is keep on coming into training, just trying to up my game, get that little bit better, get that, get rid of sort of maybe the mistakes or the sort of small. But I think it's such a test of character in it to come back like John has.
Yeah, I mean, so John, we've talked about with Maddison. Like you said, I saw his interview the other day, and he's in great form. I played with Maddison when I went to Coventry on loan, and it get like young. And when you're a senior player and you're playing with a young player, after the first 2 or 3 sessions, this kid's got something. And I was so impressed with him. It was his confidence, similar to John Stones. It was always strolling around Coventry, right? It was League One and he was a 17-year-old, but it was like he run the dressing room. He knew he was a star player. It was almost as if when he played, he was like, I'm only going to be here a short time, lad, so enjoy me. Do you know what I mean? And I saw him do his interview the other night, And I loved it. I thought to myself, because he speaks so well. I think he's in his mid-20s now. He's confident. He's one of them players. We're going to go on to England, but he's one of them players like Grealish. You need them players in international football because so much of it is the mindset. You think Maddison's going to be worried getting in a World Cup game, getting the ball rolled to him, getting all nervous and just getting rid of it and trying to give it. No, he's going to want that ball. He's going to use his body. Same with Grealish. Them type of characters, we need to. You don't knock them down. I loved it when he spoke like that. I thought, great. As a manager looking at him, I can trust you because I know when the moments come, you're not going to flap. You're going to handle the ball. And I think he's a top-class player, Maddison. I really do. With
it, Gareth, what do you think it will take? Do you think Leicester can win the league? Do you think that there's, not lightning striking twice, but, I watched them against Chelsea, I've got to say, and I was like, out of every team we're talking about in the mix, they feel that their team spirit is so strong there. There's always rumblings, of successful teams, sort of second season, syndrome of, Liverpool, certain players sort of, heads might be turned by other players, but it's other teams, sorry. With Leicester, it feels like the team spirit there is unreal. And I think what you're saying there, Joe, and it feels like James Maddison is probably right at the centre of that. What do you think of Leicester's chances is what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I think I've already said the two. I think Liverpool and City are still, for me, the two ones, but they're real contenders. They're, for me, on the same level as Man United. They've got as much chance as them. The confidence, the manager, he's oozing confidence, and you can just tell the spirit is there, isn't it? There are players in that team that have won the league before. That's going to be so important when it comes to the back end of the season. A couple of us have been here before. We know what it takes. But yeah, they've been so good at adapting their style against different teams, and that's one of their strengths. Compared to a lot of the other teams who are a bit more one-dimensional. Brendan Rodgers is clever. He's got the players in that squad that can adapt, and they've got a nice mix in there with Vardy, Johnny Evans, real experience, and some younger players alongside them. And yeah, really enjoy one of the teams I really enjoy watching.
With one of my favourite parts of the show now, Gareth, we're going to move it on. We're going to do a new bit of the show that me and Joe have developed over Christmas called "What Really Happened," and we talk about we get people, fans of the podcast, to write in, and the one when we said that you were coming on the show, the thing that everyone wants to know about is 2010 in South Africa, and this is to both of you because, and this is me as a fan as well, like a massive England fan. I guess what happened, because you look at that when we're talking now, we're talking about John Stones and we're talking about Grealish and we're talking about Maddison, and it feels like, wow, this another golden generation. And I was chatting to Jack, the producer of this, before, and you look at the team and the ages you all were going into 2010, and I think I lumped on pretty big in 2010, thinking I say it every year we're going to do it. But what did go wrong there? Do you guys think? And that's to both of you.
I think the confidence was there because as always, the way we qualified. Now, for me, we had a new manager. Everyone was believing in Capello. We finally got the manager that's disciplined and can get the best out of these players. It got to South Africa. It just felt flat. Everyone felt flat. Everyone felt knackered, and the performances sort of showed that. Really, we just didn't get any momentum at all. We squeezed through the groups. It was Algeria, America, and I think it was Slovenia. I remember reading an article, and it was subtitled "Easy: England E, Algeria A, S was Slovenia, and Y was Yanks," and it was like easy, and it was anything but easy to get through that group. We crawled through it, and there was just never no momentum and no confidence, was there? I mean, there's always excuses. There was injuries. I think did Rio get injured out there?
Yeah.
I think Wayne Rooney was injured beforehand. Maybe.
How many times? I think all my tournaments I went to, we sort of limp into them. Like whether it be Gareth had a knock. I remember right. You had an ankle injury.
Done cruciate ligaments. Yeah. So that was 6 weeks before. There was.
So Rio, we'd lost Rio. Then Ledley King, who was brought in to recover, he couldn't play. So then you're not saying it's excuses because I'm just looking back and looking for
excuses.
reasons. It's just like, we never quite got it right. And to win a tournament, you need to get it right and you need a little bit of luck. But that going into the tournament, I remember what Gareth's saying is the flatness to it. Like Capello, great manager. And I've said it, I've been a great manager. And what done me was, because I used to sit and watch the games, and when him and his staff were watching the Italy game and cheering on Italy, something didn't feel right. And then he was a great club manager, but I think there's the skill set which I think Gareth Southgate does well, in terms of you have to make international football light and you have to make it fun, because there's so much pressure on you going into a tournament. To put more pressure, it doesn't make sense. So, the way we were supposed to, everything was so rigid. We were stuck away in the middle of nowhere. It's not human nature. Like when all these players who play for all the top clubs, you play on a Saturday and Wednesday and Saturday. You don't lock yourself away. You sort of go and you go to a restaurant, you go and see your family, you go and play golf, or you go and eat when you want, just like lose the pressure a little bit. So you do not, but Capello seemed to think it was like, right, you eat at this time, do it this time, everything was stressed and pressure. Then we had the injuries, and I don't, listen, we wasn't good enough. I said it straight after, we wasn't good enough, because no one likes someone making up excuses, but I think we wasn't good enough from players, coaches, management, not just the players, if you know what I mean. I think if we'd have had, I think if had someone like Harry Redknapp in there at the time, I think he would have made it a better environment and the players would have reacted better. I'm not saying we would have won it, but I think it would have done better. I think Capello was a great manager, but not for international football.
But I mean, you look at that
Frank's
team.
goal's not talked about enough, is it? Do you think that would have changed anything, Coley?
What, Scholesy?
Frank's goal, that obviously at the bar, would make it 2-2.
Yeah.
Little moment.
Moments, mate.
You're chasing the game
in
second half, aren't you? And then we get peppered by Germany. But that one moment doesn't get talked about enough, really.
No, I remember, right, because I remember watching Germany, because we could have got Germany or Ghana.
Yes.
And when we got Germany in the next round, because, I remember thinking, do you know what? I'm not that unhappy about it, because it wasn't the Germans of the machine that they turned into. They were like young, weren't they? Like we didn't know Thomas Muller and Boateng, and we didn't know they was going to turn out to be these footballing greats. And I sort of I didn't say it to anyone, but I thought, listen, the Ghanaians were like, they were physical. They was like a banana skin. You could if you lose to them, you're going to get hammered. You lose to Germany. So I thought, I quite fancy it's more against as bad as it sounds, against the Germans than the Ghanaians. But so I went into the game, and then they started off well. We got back in the game through Matty Upson.
Yeah.
I was on the bench, and I remember when Frank's goal went in, I could see clearly it was like 2 yards over the line. And when he didn't give it, I was just like, and then they just kicked into gear. I think a couple of defensive mistakes, and the game went away from us, and it just felt horrible, to be honest. And that was my last game for England. Now I never played again.
Really?
So it was I've come on with like 15 minutes, and I just never played again for England. And it goes by like
you're talking about a goal. I remember Capello saying, "Forget about it," but I just think it was so hard to forget about. It was that far over the line. It was the halftime teapot was almost discussing how they missed that rather than how we're getting into this game.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
Yeah.
The golden generation there, you look at it and you think, unlike now where you've got a lot of really good at, say, attacking midfielders coming through, or we've got an abundance of people who might be able to score goals. At that time, you think, well, you've got Ashley Cole, arguably the best left back in the world. You've got JT, Rio, yourself, Gareth, Stevie G. You've got Frank Lampard, Joe, Wayne Rooney. But that's a team. It's a structure of an actual sort of like a starting 11. And how much does that, when we talk about it, and I don't know, how you feel about it, but where you say about winning those Premier Leagues and FA Cups, is there any time where you think, fucking hell, man, we could have just done that little bit better? We were that good. Does that ever cross your mind?
I think if you speak to any English player like Stephen Joe Lampard that have won everything, their regret will be all the same, that they would have loved to have done it with England, because you dream about playing for your country as a kid, and you dream about winning, World Cups, European Championship for your country. And, of course, you're going to feel a tiny bit unfulfilled, because that feeling of winning something and celebrating with your whole country, that won't get topped. It's only ever been done once in lifetime. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's so hard to do, but there's still going to be that it's going to be 99% of an answer about anyone who's played for England.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be the one that got away for us. I think the only thing that you can think of is that these young lads, we're still English, we're both England fans, and hopefully the mistakes we made as a football team and a footballing generation, these young lads can learn from it, and one day we're going to do it, and you're going to be part of the whole story of it. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm an England fan now. But
do you now look at it and think, like, watching Gareth and the way that Gareth, number one, I think he protects his players. I think as a manager, it's almost like you talk about Capello maybe not being right for international management. It feels like Gareth Southgate is just bang on for international management. I don't know if did you play with him, Gareth?
Yeah, he was incredible for me, because I come through the team as a 17-year-old, and I was playing alongside him as a left centre half of a free back then. So I know his character very well, and he's very down to earth, and obviously thinks of other people before himself sometimes. And so yeah, he was always going to be a manager for me, and one that treats players correctly. But going back to England, you spoke earlier, but in previous England teams, you probably know the starting 11 9 times out of 10, don't you? Going back the years, the names you've reeled off. The exciting thing now is it's an unbelievable debate who should even be going to the championships.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it now and I think, again, I don't think any of us want to get unduly excited, but you look at that talent, and even like I was watching Arsenal the other night, and you see Smith Rowe coming through, he feels a really exciting young player. His ability on the ball is unreal, and you sort of think him and Saka, and then you look across and Grealish, and like you say, Gareth, it feels for the first time where even down to like a right back, you've got 4 or 5 different people who could make that theirs. You got
6 weeks ago, I thought that the problem position was probably centre half. But John Stones, all of a sudden, it's a huge bonus for Gareth Southgate.
Also, Harry Maguire Harry's had a couple of great games. I thought he was brilliant the other day. I think if they can get him the right person next to him at United, I think so you think, it's exciting to think of us moving. I mean, who for you? Because the big one, and I guess this is sort of, I mean, the one thing I was talking before, I was talking to a pal yesterday. The big one, I think obviously for Declan is sort of your position almost, Gareth. Do you know what I mean? That holding midfielder. Do you mind you a bit of yourself there, Gareth? Like that sort of, like I remember seeing like when you came through, but that sort of older head on sort of younger, young shoulders, and sort of, do you see a likeness there at all?
Gareth's never been a young player. He was just a senior player at a young age. Like, even when we used to go with England under 16s, it was almost like he knew more than us. Like he was proper. He's been here before. He's had a 20-year career at 16. He's a seasoned professional.
Yeah, no, I really like Declan Rice. The thing is with me, I didn't really learn that central midfield role till at least 23, 24. Declan Rice has been playing there for three seasons now. So for me, he can only get better. He knows the game so well already. Even driving forward, he's different to me. He's got a bit of pace behind him. He drives forward with that ball, and you see players not being able to catch him. So if he can add that tiny bit more attacking thing to his game as well, you can understand why the top clubs are after him. Sorry, Tom, they're after him, mate.
Mate, that's what I was going to ask you. I'm well aware of it. I'm well aware, of how good he is, and I'm just going to enjoy him while he's there. But what do you think there, even like that for you, Gareth? You think, when you sign for City from Villa and sort of saying, Villa and West Ham as sort of similar sort of size clubs, would you say that it's better for him now, a couple of years' time, or wait till the perfect move comes through as sort of you did, or is it just saying like, sooner you can be playing Champions League football, the better?
From a neutral, and I'll be completely honest, I honestly think he should enjoy what he's got at West Ham at the minute. He's captain of a big football club, which if he goes somewhere else, he ain't going to experience that. So being a captain, a leader, that's going to improve him. Which if he leaves, he's not going to get that. He's still only 22. The one thing that will be edging away people will be in his ear, will saying, well, you need to be playing Champions League football as soon as possible. But for me, another year, even 2 years, give West Ham a chance to get there. Give him a chance. Give him the opportunity to captain a team to get into European football, and then reassess it there. So for me, Declan Rice is in the perfect place for at least a year to 18 months, and give West Ham the chance.
Joe, what do you think on that?
Mate, you're his new favourite player now.
I'm loving Gareth. Joe's like, he'll be going to Chelsea in 5 minutes.
Cole's the perfect player to ask. He left early, didn't he? Fulfilled them dreams at a younger age.
I think I was 21 when I left.
I know you were, mate. Slipped through the fucking long grass as soon as you could.
He weren't captain though, was he?
No, that Cole, he would have been if he'd stayed around.
I was captain at the time.
You were, weren't you?
Yeah,
even worse.
Oh no, it's a Libby, isn't it? It's a stinking Libby. What was I going to say? Do I think I can see both? I think what happens in the next 3 months at West Ham. If West Ham can nick European football, Europa League, I think he should stay. I think he should, because there's progress. I was just thinking, putting myself in the lads' boots, there's progress now. If that's the case. If that's not the case, and he doesn't play for England at the Euros, they go with someone else in his position, his head will be turned. So it's all like, we can have we've got an opinion, but it's going to change in the next 2 months. If West Ham can finish in Europa Cup places, and he's going to be the first captain to captain West Ham into Europe next year, that's a massive achievement. For a long time, since like the mid-2000s or whenever the last time West Ham got there. So I think that's going to be a big draw for him. It's going to be on how the next 2 months goes.
Yeah. I just don't feel his England place is under threat, even playing at West Ham at the moment. No. He's one of the first names on the team sheet. So it's another point where he doesn't need to move for that reason at the minute. But like you say, Joe, it can change, can't it? It can change quickly.
I mean, talking about and someone who's probably in a bit of a similar position is Jack Grealish at Villa there, Gareth. I've got to say, by the way, I think like Villa, it's like, West Ham have played well, but the football Villa are playing is great, man. And they're sort of, it's a weird thing because they're almost, when people first come up and they're fearless and they're sort of almost moving on from like, doing well in the Championship and they keep that momentum going. It feels like Villa, Dean Smith and what he's done there is just, they feel like they're fearless in the way that they play, and obviously they play a lot around Jack. How much do you think like Jack's head might be swayed? Because he's a little different from Declan in the way that he has got, you've got sort of maybe 4 or 5 people sort of vying for that same role.
Yeah. In terms of guaranteeing his England place, he's in a completely different situation to Declan. That will be crossing his mind if he was to make a move. Does that cement him in the England team? Because for me, he's probably not had the minutes he should have done in an England shirt, Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will come. But yeah, it's such a difficult one. He's a huge Villa fan, isn't he? That's another big thing. He's captaining his boyhood club. But yeah, he's a bit older than Declan. And it's the same thing. Villa will be under pressure to try and get into them European places, and that could have an impact on his decision. But he's so sought after. I think more than Declan. Probably got every team up there would love him. So it's going to be so hard to fend them all off, if you know what I mean.
I mean, they're at the moment 3-1 for a top 6 finish with Coral. That's they're sitting at 11th.
Well played, big man. Absolutely lovely. I was wondering when it was coming.
3-1. They got games in hand, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean they're 11th with several games. I mean, it is one of those things where you just think that it's doable, isn't it? I think that's the beauty. I know some people. I was on Twitter the other day, and you saw some people was laying into this season. I've loved this season. I think it's probably because West Ham are doing well, but there's teams up there, and it feels that it's sort of there's going to be some real shocks and some real surprises, and it feels at the moment like probably like you say, even though Joe, I was watching Fulham the other night, and every team seems like it's having their sort of moment in the sun a little bit,
Yeah, I watch Fulham and the way they move the ball, the quality they got in the team. You know, Loftus-Cheek, Lookman, and I look at them and I think they've only got 12 points or something. They're second bottom, and I'm like, they look like a proper outfit. Like they push Chelsea all the way. So I love it this year. There's so much quality. Anyone can beat anyone. It's great for the bookies. Coral were loving it.
Coral having the time of their life.
They're having a time of their life. No, they don't. Nobody knows who's going to win. Look at us. We can't pick a winner when we do our things, can we? So that shows us where we are.
Well, I tell you, that's a seamless little move through there, Joe.
Seamless. I'm a media man now, aren't I?
You are, I tell you, mate. If you could just get your timekeeping sorted, you'd be the dream man.
Boys, I can only learn off you two.
Support.
I can only learn.
I'll tell you who we could all learn from, right, is our first ever 100% predictions.
Okay.
Andy Cole last week got 100%. He picked Leicester to beat Southampton, West Ham to beat Burnley, and the Liverpool Man United draw.
Can I just say, big man, I'm going to take credit for that. I'll give him an hour to think about it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know what you were doing in that hour, but you had a stinker. You got literally your first ever, our first ever, this is the show's first ever, 0% right, Joe. You got none of them right. I did okay.
He's rushing around left, right and centre. He ain't got time for predictions.
He was having a swim and a Solero. He had about 5 Soleros during last week.
No, mate. They're them chocolates. Remember them from 2 episodes ago? I'm going to get you a packet of them. They're going to love them.
I'll tell you what, I'll be looking forward to them. Right.
Yeah.
So, Gareth, big things, mate. Big things stepping up.
Go on then. What games are we on?
We're going to go first. I want to answer win. Who's going to win, or is it a draw? So we're going to go first. Man United, Liverpool, FA Cup this week. Who we got?
Man United, Liverpool. I'm going to go. Do you want the score or just the...
just the winner or...
Just the result.
United win.
JC?
United win.
I want to go United win as well. I thought I was going to be controversial there.
Same wavelength.
Here we go now. Villa versus Newcastle.
Villa win. Newcastle
Villa
can't
win.
wait to get out of that.
Joe, right, this isn't going to be very fun if you just coffee Gareth,
No.
mate.
Listen, you're asking me what I think. You're asking...
Joe, you go first next one.
Yeah, Joe,
I'll
you
go first. I'll go first. Right.
I'm going to change it up and I'm going to go draw. I'm going to go draw there.
Okay.
I do think it's going to be Villa, but I've got to try and pull away from you two. Right, so now we're going to go a curveball, right? Chorley versus Wolves.
Come on, big man. Wolves win. No, we're all going to go Wolves win.
Wolves win. Me and Coley on the same wavelength again.
I'm going to go... I'm going to just go say Chorley because
Because you can.
Because I have to. And I'll tell you what, I think the highlight...
If you win this week, mate, I'm telling you.
What price are they?
I'll take you out.
What price
I'll
for
take
Chorley?
you out for a steak dinner. Have that. If Chorley win.
We can
None
sit
of this
2
messing
metres apart
about. We're
from
going
each other.
Wagyu. We're going Wagyu as well, big man. I bet you can put some red meat as well the size of you.
What price are Chorley? Chorley at 25 to 1. Coral have got them 25 to 1. I mean, if I'm honest with you, that's small odds really for that against Wolves.
Automatic win if you get that one, Tom.
Yeah, I think I'd take all 3 games if I get that one.
Yeah,
and what Crawley?
definitely.
Can I have what's Crawley versus Bournemouth?
9-1.
9-1.
Yeah.
See, that's a Libby. That's our guest is getting information quicker than us than all of the team.
Same for nothing.
That's a bad sign,
Listen,
though, isn't it?
we need better, all right, from the whole group.
To Jack and the whole production, and to you, Joe. Right?
Listen,
Like Gareth Barry could run this whole thing on his own.
probably. Listen, I'm not doubting it. No,
he was the first online. He didn't have any problem with any of the technical issues.
I had to get the homeschooling. I got it early.
Yeah.
He taught me how to count to 20 in French before we started on here. Listen, it's been an absolute joy chatting to you, Gareth, as always, mate. You're a legend of the game. And hopefully we get to catch up again. I'll get Joe's timekeeping to be a little bit better.
I don't know.
Not timekeeping, tech skills. I resent that. I'm always on time. I just don't know how to work my computer.
You said it before. You'll only wait for certain people. Coley's one of them, isn't they?
Yeah, well, he's a
love you, mate. Love you.
Yeah. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Gareth.
Been brilliant.
Cheers, guys.
Mate. Thanks for listening, guys. You've been listening to All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral. Nice one.
You've been watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.